Jasha, back at it again after a couple of weeks off. What you been up to?
Yeah, no, it's been good. The schoolboy season was a busy one, so it's a bit of a break. I'm sure everyone needed that. The coach is more than
No, we don't need a break from that.
but I'm telling you how close it was this year. I tell you what, every school coach this year just wanted games could have gone either way.
Yeah.
So it was a busy one.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think speaking of that, I was chatting with a colleague over the past weekend whilst I was watching cricket. So the first thing I did was I was just happy to be at St. George's watching sport with no pressure.
Yeah.
It was just a relief. And then I got to chatting to a colleague and we sort of exchanged notes over the past schoolboy rugby season.
Yeah.
And I said to him, barring one game, which was CBC at the start, there is no game where I went through and I sat back and I said, okay, that result is forgot. Every single game was a nail biter. Every single game, anything could have happened. So I agree with you.
But, definitely for the fans out there, I know guys were all wishing for more sport. It was entertaining. It was thrilling. Shout out to all the people who came on board to helping us cover the events and cover schoolboy season this year. Certainly, it was an exciting one, and
absolutely, yeah, I think it was good. So obviously, PE came up trumps. They are the top prize according to the power rankings, the current sports power rankings, and supported by CBZ. What are your thoughts?
Definitely. I think it's on a lot of debate. PE was the best team this year. Barring the one loss they had to St. George's, and it took everything out of St. George's to get that win. And as we predicted from the get-go, that it was always going to be close between Peterhouse and PE on who the top side was. And I know in the comment section there, people were wishing that if PE and Peterhouse would resume their old fixture, which they used to have.
Hey, but don't forget Falcon. They're right up in the thick of things. And they were there right second at the end of the roll.
So, they did have a late start. I think the Peterhouse and PE being the top two was based on how the team started.
Okay.
Falcon, I guess even from the players' admission that they probably weren't ready yet at the start of the season. But when they came together, as predicted as well, that backline and interlinking with their boards was just going to be unstoppable. That attack is just I'll tell you what, I'll pay money to watch those that Falcon backline do that. Yeah, Konwaya, Wuyani,
their books of
the Saints band up 6 foot.
I just watched highlights of the game against Pilas, Falcon Pilas, and last game. And just how Kolwani, Puyani, Tegeri, I just turned it on and they took the game away from that. And obviously it was sort of a battle of the titans because you had Makuta Kona and Shama Jackson on the other end also trying to stake a claim. So it was a great spectacle. It was a great end to the schoolboy season. Obviously we didn't get to get the St. George's and St. John's game happening, but that game was also obviously very good. You were the PE and Lomagandi. How did that fit?
Yeah, no, it was entertaining game. I think Lomagandi had a good start. I think they looked like they were possibly going to sneak another win over PE, but PE at home with the crowd, hurting the sponsors there on the sideline, stage all set up, everyone watching. It was always going to be a tough one, and they managed to dig deep and pull over. But Gandhi had an outstanding season as well. They had some big wins. I think probably the first time in their history of beating St. George's in rugby. I wouldn't know without going into the history books, but definitely that win, they'll archive it and remember it for many years. But again, considering they beat St. George's, PE lost. It could have gone either way. So I think those top 7-8 schools, PE, Falcon, Lomagandi, Johns, George's, Churchill, those sort of teams anyone can beat the other.
Yeah, just going through this, just want to just cast a look at these rankings.
Yeah.
And obviously these with the top 7 and top 8 that you spoken about, we pretty much know all about them because they've always been spoken about. I just want to cast a bit of your eye and get your attention to some of the teams that did well. Obviously the first one that comes to mind for me is Gateway. Yeah, the unbeaten season. Look, when we were in school, and not disrespect, when we were in school, Gateway was not.
But even the guys last year were 50.
Yeah, so that's quite a turnaround, right? To go from 1 year to being unbeaten when no one would have mentioned unbeaten and Gateway in the same sentence as far as any sport is concerned. But yeah, obviously they had some quality in their sporting development, and it showed in the season. Which is pat on the back for people involved there.
Yeah, I know. Definitely, there's a whole team of coaches working there, but the one clear impact there was Sykes coming down from Hillcrest and joining them there, and the impact.
Is there correlation with how Hillcrest then went this year?
Because Hillcrest they didn't do well, so I think that definitely you gotta give respect to him, and I think he'll be in that discussion for Coach of the Year.
Yeah,
I know he wasn't alone in the coaches box, but he'll be up there. I think one thing I've noticed, even just looking at Gateway, I mean, I've gone to some of their games this season, and one of the big changes for me is their pre-game build-up. I mean, other than the coaching and the skills which have improved and the player attitude, is the use of singing the various songs by Sykes, Coach Sykes. I know he's originally from Matt's side. Yeah. And I've noticed that with all these teams, even when he was at Hillcrest, is that he gets the boys singing these songs which sort of like calm them down and bond them together. So and it's a good brotherhood. And I just looked at it. I mean, it just looks beautiful on the onset. But I was looking at it from a psychological point of view, that the impact that's having on them.
Yeah.
I think it's a positive impact. I think it's something, a psychological aspect which can be brought in and looked in even from a national point of label. I mean, the difference between singing traditionally, the high-pop songs are always high-pitched and get the boys fired up. But this type of songs he gets the boys singing are sort of calming, slow. They get the boys thinking. That's my perspective. It'll be interesting to hear from him.
Absolutely.
A bit more about that and why he keeps using it with all the teams he goes around with.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that actually, but that's an interesting take. And of course, I mean, it's not the only contribution.
No, there's many. But I just thought I'd single that out because I don't think many people would have noticed.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That. Yeah. And then just this coming week, there's this President's Cup. I've been seeing obviously flyers floating around about the President's Cup. I think this is a good opportunity. I think it's a good initiative. I think it's a good opportunity, not knowing how it's going to be set up, but it's a good opportunity for these schools that have been invited or that are going there to start looking at next year and casting visions to next year. I don't see any value, or personally, in starting to play your upper six boys. I mean, they've got nothing left to give to the school. They're entering a very crucial final third of their high school life where they're writing exams. Maybe let them focus on that, and then start looking at your stayers. Your lower sixes, your form fours. Maybe an odd form three who's putting his hand up and say, "Hey, go." It's not a tournament that people are gonna say. Let's say, for example, P gets a loss, and people are not gonna say, "Well, P is not the best team afterwards." So I think there is no harm in actually sending out to stay aside and saying, "Hey, let's see what you got," and start looking at what next year is going to look like.
Nah, definitely. I think we've always known that we all agree that in Zim we're not playing enough rugby.
Yeah.
So more rugby is always glimpses. So for those teams that are taking part, I think it will always be. But I think for some of the other schools, I think definitely everyone wanted a little bit of a break, and which is fair enough. But I think the tournament will build momentum over the years to come, and it'll attract teams that don't generally get more game time.
Yeah, are you going to be there?
I'll definitely be there
wherever your rugby boys start.
But I think another team which is taking part, which had a good season, was Wiseau.
Oh yeah,
out there in Maroondah.
But that's not only rugby. across the board. Yeah, they just came third now at the camp smashing T20 festival, and they came third. They missed out on the final because of net run rate. So they didn't drop a game. They haven't lost. I know they didn't lose, but they obviously got pipped by Peterhouse and Nelly because their net run rate was better. So that just shows that across the board, Boys are always doing well with their sporting program. And I think they're coming in with a new mix, and it's exciting. Yeah, I mean to see how they're gonna fare next year, especially on the rugby side. They've got good guys also joining their ranks, and it's gonna be.
And now they've got some outstanding young talent coming through. One in mind is the one tall winger they have there.
Yeah,
it's got a lot of potential, and their name's slipping out of my mind. But he's probably 192 centimeters tall. Quick, heavy boy, hard to stop once he gets the ball. I mean, you can tell he's still new to rugby, but once he builds confidence and that, he's gonna be someone who I foresee making Craven Week next year. So and they've done well with their coaching staff, their recruiting of coaches. I think they've attracted some big coaches both in cricket, rugby, and across all sport that they've got. So I think there's method to see what they're doing. But I was just going to talk about some of the other big performers this year. Goromon's had a great year as well.
Coach Chicken, they call him. What at least Chicken. Coach Chicken, obviously, the charge led Goromon, and they did that well with these charges. But for me, is what I want to see is the continuity. Yeah, we don't want to have 1 year where Goromon does well, the next year it's a dip. And obviously, it's not everything in his control, the school's control. Resources-wise, if they're resourced well, I mean, most of these schools, if they're resourced well, they're going to bring out good rugby players.
Yeah, and it's just good to see kids with desire.
Absolutely.
We just want to go out there and play. So they also want doing fantastic. Heritage also had a decent season as well. They played well, won some big games.
But just as we go, sorry to cut you, as we sort of wrap this up, what I want to see, Nyash, and what will interest me is going back to what we used to do in the yesteryears of the big guns, sort of, let's just say the top 8 according to the rankings, playing these middle sort of, 11 to 20 schools or ranked schools. Because you used to see it before, or definitely when I was in school, when I was at the Watershed, we always knew we were going to play Falcon, we were going to play a PE at some point. Obviously, we'll play Peterhouse at our Trout. But those things are not happening anymore. I want to see St. George's playing a Gateway at some point. I want to see Peterhouse against an Eaglesville, just to give these teams an opportunity to play these schools, and also it just builds confidence. That's what preseason is meant to be, to get these games happening. Obviously, there's only so many weeks in a rugby season that you can't fit in everyone, but these festivals that happen before the start of the season, I would really love to encourage the organizers to pay up these teams that don't necessarily play each other in the season, so that we don't have sort of a three test series between two schools every single season.
Now I hear where you're coming from there, because I think from a coaching perspective is maybe a coach is ends up facing maybe 3 or 4 different types of defenses or attacks because they keep playing the same schools over. But if you broaden it, you face different types of
you get asked different questions. And your ideas get asked different questions.
Whereas I think there's a sense now the kids now know each other from there. They're like, he plays like this. They've got this line out move. So different opposition is good. And I think as well, if you stretch over your top 15 schools now all have good coaches. You got Super has always been at Vale. You got the Pangeti and Dingy and them at Heritage. You got Too Bad at Watershed.
Chombo is
and Goldridge. He's there and he's done great. I mean, they had four boys across all the age groups make national team. So you can't tell me there's no merit in playing at Goldridge.
Absolutely.
Historically, yes, but based on what's there. They'll have some kids.
Teams might catch hands. You might catch a big score, but that's part of the experience. If you go to Namibia now and say, "Oh, you played at the All Blacks at the World Cup," that's an experience that they love and that they value. So yeah, hopefully that happens next year. I mean, we are just rambling on, and we love talking rugby. That what you say is not gospel, but for sure would love to see that happening. Just to wrap it up, Nyasha, what's obviously a few things coming up in the next couple of weeks. We just spoke about the President's Cup. There's a bit of sevens coming up.
Yeah, the local sevens, I think, this coming weekend.
Yeah.
And the following weekend, there's some more.
There's some basic challenge.
And then you guys got a big one against the Olympic qualifiers. South Africa Blitzbokke coming. They're coming to Zim with the full strength squad. Swazwati got injured, their captain. So, it'll be interesting to see how all the other players in their team will step up. Yeah. But Kenya, Uganda, all the big African teams.
And I watched the pre-qualifiers. The guys like Algeria are doing well, so we can't write them off. Burkina Faso, they've got good guys playing in the good levels in front, and I think they're going to bring them back for this one. So it's going to be Papa action in Sports Club.
It's Russian roulette, though, but because one team goes through.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate that South Africa normally are in the top 4 in the world, so they qualify automatically. But for the first time, probably in their history, they haven't qualified for Olympics automatically. I mean, it's definitely in their history because
the Olympics just became a sport. But we'll catch you at our Sports Club, or the Arians, National Showgrounds, wherever. We'll be there, Irish Showgrounds. So we'll be there wherever the rugby boy is, and hopefully we'll catch you guys there. And we'll definitely be bringing more of the Pots and Pans podcast.
Yeah, and one more, just let us know who you think the player of the year was this year, coach of the year.
I put player of the year.
I want to hear from others first before. They might give you some idea.
Okay.
But I think for coach, I said Sykes, but I think Iverson Pedersen, which we mentioned from Gold Creek.
Yeah. And I shot as well.
Did an outstanding job with that team this year.
Okay.
Our friend out there in Bluedo, Derek did outstanding job with Falcon, focusing how they were starting preseason and how they.
So let's hear what people have to say. But let us know. Put in your contributions, and let's see who comes out traps. Cheers, guys. Thanks for joining us again.
And out.